Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today for a battle rap of Eagles to Glory. Something different. I am back to Eagles to Glory Grand Strategy Games in 10mm because I want something to change. It was quite a few times since my last game, but I need to rethink the level system for the game. The battlefield scenario on the table here is a home variation on a scenario from Black Powder, Gracia dell'Abbondanza. The games was quite the same. Peninsula and Massena will face off Wellington in this battle, and the objectives are many on this table. There is this large hill here and two small hills, one here and one down there. Then the main objective is the monastery down there and this crops field that grant food for the starving soldier of the French Armada, and the British try to intercept and fight off. The French will arrive from this view here, and the last objective they have to take is the view down there, and the British make the same, enter down there, have the same objective. This hill here grant 3 victory points who control it, and to control it must take the upper hill without any enemy troop. 1 point for that hill here and 1 point for this one. 3 victory points for this viewer here and 5 victory points for the monastery down there, plus the destroyed unit. And that's it. Both the army enter at the first turn, rolling for their movement, and start the movement in this area here around the build-up area. And that's it. Now the forces. Forces are completely fictional. Here we have Massena is the leader, 4 different brigades made of a mix of leger and line infantry, 1 artillery piece per brigade, plus 6 squadron of light cavalry with an horse-drawn artillery. And that's it for France's force. Something specular for British. We have Wellington here, and he lead the 3rd, the 6th, the 4th, and the 5th Infantry Division, a mix of veteran British and some less trained Portuguese. They are rated D, while all the British are rated C as the French. French have some B, and some B are rated into the British in the form of Cazadors and the 95th Rifle. The Light Brigade completed the infantry, and they have 6 Light Dragoon on the Cavalry Brigade. 1 piece of artillery per infantry division. And that's it. Now moving. Every unit started full, 42 points, and now moving to the first turn for both the army. At the end of the first turn, everything had a good activation due to the bonus for being far away from the enemy on the road and over the 30 points. So everyone move on this side, and the British did the same on the other side. Wellington and Massena take the same disposition of troops, pointing some of their force to the hill and towards the enemy view, and cavalry and the rest of the force headed to the monastery and the other hills on the battlefield. And that's it for the first turn. A quick one, just the disposition of the model. Now moving to roll initiative for the second turn. Should have to roll initiative to see who will go first, and in this case the British win the roll, so the British will take the initiative this turn, and now proceeding to issue the order to march for both the army. The second turn is over, and the men on the road and beside them rode poorly and receiving their orders, so just take the full mood, just into the road for this for the 3rd Division and the 6th Division just move on half of their movement. The rest is very, very quick, especially cavalry, which get a double move and head towards the monastery and is reach crops. On the other side, the French cavalry just rule a regular move, and everything else did the same. The troop on the road obtain just a regular move thanks to the road, because they roll a tree. And finally this unit here rolled very, very well and move at the double, heading to the hill and hope to reach it first. And that's it for the first turn. Not yet any combat, so moving quickly into the third turn. I forgot to mention that we play 18 turns for this game. The British that got the first activation, winning the initiative, has moved the 5th Division, which take position to assault the hill, and with a double move Picton reach the crossroad. The rest of the British set aside the Light Division with a 10 and 1.5 move full speed but no particular gain, and the cavalry rolled really poorly and made an half move, and same did the French cavalry. Now both the horses are facing the enemy across the woods here. The 2nd Division has taken a good roll and take offensive position, ready to face Picton, while the 3rd Division, assigned to assault the enemy, receive bad orders and move just 3 inches off of their movement. The rest of the French do not make better, because this one just move full move and full move with poor roll, which no gain in the race against the British. So that's it. I use a reroll for this unit here, which we really wanted to step on the hill, but I roll a 2 in the first roll and a 2 with the reroll. I'm using card. Now every officer is in line of sight with their main officer. This grant grant bonuses, no penalties for their order. The same for the British, because now it's quite the time to start fighting each other, moving in the next turn. And interesting turn, both the cavalry roll well, and the French deploy, and in front of them deploy the British cavalry, while the 4th Division for the French has moved forward at double, and this one is painfully and slowly move 3 inches at a time. On this place, the 2nd Division has taken the line formation for their battalion, and the other one is moved on the hill. On in front of them, Picton aggressively move forward his troops with a double and enter in range to fight a firefight against the French, while the rest is still maneuvering. And the other division, the 5th Division, has taken the uphill and ready to face off the British, while the Light Division and the 6th has moved forward towards the monastery to engage the French that is approaching. And now at the moment the British have the superiority, because the 2nd detached division from the French, from Massena, is still painfully and slowly moving on that side of this hill. Now moving into this fight here is a 3 unit against 3 unit that fight each other. We'll see if something happen. The fight only take one of the battalion that disengaged disordered from the fire, and that's it for this turn. Now moving into the 5th turn. In the skirmish and bombardment phase, something happened. This battery here destroy 1 platoon of the 3rd Division, while another one was sent back by the skirmish fire. The rest of the artillery tried to bombard. This artillery here bombard and sent disorder another troop that is here with the canister range. So quite effective fire. The rest of the skirmisher and the fire from the artillery down there failed to do anything. And now moving into the order and activation. All the movement I've done for both the army, this unit completely failed to activate, while the British take a foothold on hill, protect their third division, protect their flank with the Portuguese units, while the rest of the units under the Picton order charge everything into melee. Another charge was made by the light dragoon, countercharged by the hussars and the chasseurs. So a fierce cavalry fight emerged on the road towards the monastery, while the British infantry has maneuvered to take their objective on this flank, and the French did the same here. Finally, they move forward one move and a half, but now I have to fight lots of combat here. So we're back at the end of the turn to recapitalize what has happened. So nothing happened on this fight on this side. The fight was fierce, but at the end only one battalion of French were pushed back, disorder, and this one was disordered by the fire of the artillery. But all in all, no casualty here, while the sudden charge of the cavalry in front of the monastery was much worse. One casualty taken by the French, two casualty taken for the British, and both the points of the cavalry are reduced a lot, and the British are under the 30 at the moment due to the casualties. And that's it for this turn. Now moving on into the 13th turn to the end. On the hill, the fight erupts between the French and the British, but no casualty was caused here. Just one battalion pushed back by the French. It was the Portuguese with their D rating that charged in the flank and crushed two battalions for the 3rd French division, but in the center the Picton division make an incredible result, killing 4 battalions from the same brigade and disordering one. So really hard turn for the French here. Better news on that side, while the best French division occupied the monastery, and no other casualty was taken by the British, are ready to counter-strike, and both cavalry are now ready. So moving into the next turn, and we'll see what will happen. So, on the hill, the fight continued, and 5th Division and the British 5th Division and the British 2nd Division fight fiercely. 2 battalions reciprocally annihilate here. The Portuguese destroy another battalion and being then also destroyed by the counterattack of this battalion here. From the 3rd French Division withdrew from Picton assault. Just the battery were engaged, but they win the melee and disorder the charging British. On the far side, the Cazadors storm the monastery, and both battalion, the defender and the attacker, roll a 1, so eliminate each other, while 1 battalion from the 6th British Division and 1 from the elite French Division were destroyed per part, and that's put an end to the battle of the cavalry. The British cavalry failed to activate, and so the French recall their counter-assault, and nothing else happened for this turn. Moving forward, but the battle here depleting both sides, so we'll see Picton taking casualty too, so we'll see what is going to happen on this side, while the fight for the monastery is still in balance. The bombardment phase, the artillery for the French destroy the only 2 cavalry are still active, while the rest of the bombardment obtain nothing from both sides. But it is a blow for the British, because they lost all their available cavalry this turn, and the only 2 are disordered because the previous turn they failed to activate. So no cavalry, and the French have declared a charge, so this could be painful. We will see what is happening in the rest of the turn. So moving into the distribution of the orders. The fighting on a hill continued, but with no casualty from both sides, and even the Picton division, despite a play a +1 on the attack using the cards, just push back 2 of the battalion, but gain no casualty in return. On the other side, the cavalry, the French cavalry, obtained less than one expected. They disordered a couple of units, destroy one battery of horse artillery from the 6th Division, but were also destroyed in return. The fighting for the monastery continues because the elite light but légère charge in, but both sides disorder the other and gain just the defender, the 95th Rifle, were disordered, but they stay because they are in the viewer. And that's it for the turn. Moving on the 10th turn, 10 to the finish. This time was Picton to take severe punishment. 2 of his battalion were destroyed. On a hill, nothing was seriously happened apart to some battalion and the artillery being disordered, but not in lethal for both the division. On this side, 2 of the battalion were repelled, and the assaulting battalion was destroyed while attempting to dislodge the 95th Rifle into the monastery. So that's it for the turn. The rest is pretty uneventful. Even the battle this time missed a lot. Moving into the 11th turn, 9 to go. On this side, both the 3rd Division of the French and the 3rd British Division had enough of this bloody fight and both routed on their roll. They roll one. On the hill, this unit here, the 2nd French Division, roll a 1. I re-roll with the card and also roll a 2. So stay where they are. They're not out, but barely. And the fight continued without casualty from both sides. On the other side, cavalry charge was pretty ineffective, while 2 of the elite French division were destroyed, and the defender did nothing against their attacker this turn. So that's it, a pretty uneventful turn on this side and a very disastrous one on this side. French have a last card to play, and there's a +2 movement that they will play on this 3rd Division, and the same will do for Picton, is the same card. So they get a +2 on the next roll. We will see, because they are low in point, so we'll see if they manage to be activated or not. On the plain between the woods and the hills, every combatant seems to have enough. Both Picton and the 3rd French Division failed despite the bonus and still run towards their encampment, and despite the scream and the order of Massena and Wellington, they flee under their eyes. On the hills, the fight continues fiercely, 1 casualty from both sides, and both the division now are on the verge of collapse due to the lack of points remaining. On the other side, the French cavalry try again, but fail to crush the cavalry. The other English cavalry is routed due to the poor activation. And in the center, 1 of the elite French unit were destroyed, while the assault on the monastery failed again. And that's it. Not an as happened. The artillery exchanged their fire, but again, not as significantly happened. The French artillery redeployed and moved closer to the British, and that's it for the turn. And now a very difficult roll for all of this side here, because they are depleted and the other is just routed. So we will see what is happening. Turns run quickly now. This unit, the 2 division is still routed and fleeing from the battlefield. On the hill, both the sides are depleted, but the favor is slightly in the British factor, because just 1 battalion remain on the hill and other 1 was pushed back disorder. The elite unit of the French failed its activation with a 1 and is routing. This unit here roll 4-1 in a row, and now another one was rolled down there. The cavalry with a good roll managed to stay despite the malus, and the routing is recovered. And that's it for the turn, but a significant importance is that the French managed finally to push into the monasteries and grab it. And now moving into the turn could be one of the last due to the situation here on the hill. We will see in a second. Anyway, 7 turns to the end of the game. The hill is free from French that is routing now and probably cannot be retaken. At least I have to roll a really high. Disastrous is because the cavalry also failed with rolling a 2, and with the malus they run away. So at the moment the French recovered the elite infantry and barely held the monastery, while the British recovered its cavalry and have enough troops to try to push the French back. Why, here on the hill they do not need to move anything and just try to recover Picton, but the rest of the French army is on the route. Probably the game is over in a couple of turns if nothing miraculous happens for the French. We will see. French on the run. French retake position, but they remain just 2 battalions and a battery. Picton recover, and all what remain of his division now is taken a position. It will decide later on if it would move or not. On that side, nothing really happened. As at the side, the French push back their elite formation, but cause no casualty. The fight for the monastery. See, one of the elite of the light brigade were destroyed by the defender and nothing else. The cavalry recovered from being routed, but the other brigade failed to activate. And the 5 turn remain to the end of the battle. And at the moment the situation is very equal on the table with the point cost. I have to make a really hard count at the end of the game. The game is over. I play the 5th turn. There are very few activation tools because all the brigade are so depleted that no one wants to risk anything. Set aside, try to conquer the hill. Here, the fire from the gun disorder this unit that fall back out of the hill, so the hill remain in the British end. Picton also fail again and rout. On the other side, the light brigade try a couple of turns to assault the monastery, and then in the 2 turn to the hand fail on a 1 and routed, while the monastery remain in French hand. And now proceed to the countersea, who has won this bloody battle. So in the end of this bloody battle, the British score 810 points and the French score 640. So it is a victory for the British despite the losses. They conquered the hill, they retained the Bua, they besieged the monastery, and the losses of the French determined the defeat in this battle. So that's it. It's a very tough one. It's a very bloody one, but it was a fun game. So I'm happy of the result. At the beginning, some bad activation for the French delayed them, but in the end, the game exit quite fair. So it is what it is. It was a good result for Wellington, a very historical one indeed. So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed this different video. Thank you for watching. Happy wargaming, and see you as soon as possible. Bye bye.